I'm Carole Leathem, and you're listening to a bonus episode of the Caretakers Journey podcast. I am your host, and I want to welcome you to day 27 of our 31-day Caretakers Resolve Challenge. Our resolve today is the idea that change is going to happen. So grab your Post-it note and write, I resolve to be open to change and accept that caregiving plans and situations may need adjustments. Our journey as caretakers is one that is filled with unpredictability, and it requires a constant flexibility and adaptation. We must be open to change, and we must be open to accepting that our plans and our situations may shift. And this is crucial for both me and the ones that we care for. So why is it so important for us to be open to change? Well, on my 10-year journey as a caretaker, I have discovered that things like health conditions, mobility, and cognitive abilities often evolve. When my husband first started struggling with mental health issues, his mental stability deteriorated rapidly, and it took us more than 2 years to find a somewhat stable platform again when we finally found a medication that helped. With my mom, we knew that she was struggling when we moved her 2.5 years ago into an assisted living apartment. And she has declined. And since she's been on hospice, the decline has been even been more rapidly. So as things change and as they evolve, not always in a good way, the needs of our loved ones change. My husband's needs, my mom's needs, they've all become different. And what worked yesterday is not working today, and probably what's working today will not work tomorrow. There are emotional and physical realities that can be very, very taxing on both me, the caretaker, and the loved one I'm caring for. And what I discovered is that there may need to be a shift in the responsibilities or routines. My sister and I tag team. My sister's boots on the grounds. There are times when she'll say to me, I'm just exhausted. And if I'm not planning on flying in, I change my plans and fly in for a few days or a week or so to help out. So, what about the external factors? Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking about financially. What about socially? What about medical changes? As all of these things adjust, as our resources change, as our financial situation changes, as we have seen the social impact on our mom. She can't handle big, huge groups. She does like to socialize, but she doesn't get to see her friends and family because she doesn't get travel anymore. So anyone that wants to see her from outside of the Milwaukee area has to go there. So as our resources change, it can impact our caretaking plans. How can we cope or adapt? Well, here's a few things that I've learned. I have learned to view the challenges as an opportunity to learn. I know we've talked about this over the last few weeks that we've been doing the resolves, but we have to be flexible and creative. This can help transform the difficulties that we're struggling with into manageable circumstances. When I get so caught up in not trying to be flexible, let's just say it that way, I can kind of become like a mule. Okay, I said it. I'll sit down, and there is no way, no hard pulling that you're going to get me to stand up. When I put my stubborn personality into play and stop seeing the challenges as an opportunity to learn, I really create more problems. But when I see them as an opportunity to learn and I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to creative ideas, all of a sudden the circumstances are way more manageable. Another thing I've learned is that I have to have a backup plan in place. So what does that mean? It means that we have to figure out how to plan for the unplanned. Okay. I don't know about your caretaking journeys, but I have 2 caretaking journeys that are running parallel to each other right now in different parts of the country. And when I say I have to plan for the unplanned, it makes me laugh because I never know from one day to the next what it's going to look like. But a backup plan in place means that we have a plan for when my mom can no longer live alone in her assisted living apartment. We can't afford to put her into a nursing home. And what is it that we're going to do? Well, my sister and I have come up with a plan in the event that we need to pull that trigger. Now, we may never need to do it, but we have a backup plan in place. I have some financial backup plans in place in case something happens in my own caretaking journey with my husband. I have to be prepared for medical bills. I learned this a long time ago, like 10 years ago, when he went into the psychiatric hospital. You have to be prepared for unexpected expenses. You have to be prepared for when the medication doesn't work. You have to be prepared for when the cycle starts over and the depression comes back. There are all kinds of things that you can put in place and to plan for the unplanned. I wasn't ready for his health issues. I wasn't ready for 5 surgeries in 19 months. But after the first surgery, I began to understand that I needed to add to my backup plan and plan for unplanned because surgery was not something we'd ever imagined. So what did I do? Well, I built this network of support, family, friends, and professionals who can step in and help me when needed. My therapist of many years had to retire, and I found myself one day going, what am I going to do? I need to talk to someone. So I began asking around, and I made I made a call and tried to interview a new therapist. And I'll just tell you, it was a train wreck. I wasn't communicating. She wasn't communicating. It wasn't working. And I hung up the phone. I wanted to just stop and not try again. And that's not what I did. I picked up the phone and I made another call a few days later. And the second time I landed on an incredible therapist who speaks a language I can understand, who gets my circumstances. And I can now see her. She's a professional that I can call on to step in and help me personally. My husband has his team of doctors and psychiatrists and therapists. Now I have someone that I feel that I can talk to. But I also have the support of family and friends who can step in and help when my husband comes home from the hospital and we need a meal or I need whatever. We have a whole support system in Milwaukee for my mom. We have some incredible nurses and nurses' aides who work with her on a daily basis. And my sister and I are so thankful for the support that we get from them. We regularly have to ask ourselves this question: what's working? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself that question? What's working? I was just feeling very stressed one day. And I thought, I need to sit down and really think about this. And the first question I wrote in my journal was, what's working? What's not working? And what needs to change? If you go back to one of our earlier resolves, you'll remember the red Post-it notes, the green Post-it notes, the yellow Post-it notes. This is kind of what that is similar to. What's working? What's not working? What needs to change? And I think this is something we need to do routinely, asking ourselves these questions. What's working? What's not working? What needs to change? That day, I asked myself the question, what's working? I came up with an answer. And then I asked myself, what's not working? I came up with an answer. And what's not working led to me making a change. We need to stay in tune with our needs and our loved ones' needs. We need to accept that change is inevitable. When you are on a caregiving journey, change can be a positive change. It can be a negative change. My mom is on hospice. We rarely get a positive change. Right now, it's a good day when the hospice nurse visits and I don't get a call because it means that things are kind of status quo. We have to accept that things change. We also need to stay informed and educated. If I hear a word, or if I hear a medication, or if I hear something that I don't know what it is, I'm going to start asking questions, and I'm going to figure out what, if it's a nurse, what they're talking about. If it's my sister, what they're talking about. I'm going to stay informed and educated. And then once again, we have to celebrate our small wins. We need to recognize the progress that we have made and how we have been flexible and adapted in the past. We need to set realistic expectations and accept that perfection is unattainable. Do your best tweaking of your plans along the way. Build your routines that have room for adjustments. This provides structure without rigidity. Caretaking will always involve change. But when you and I embrace flexibility and we focus on being prepared, it can reduce our stress and it can help us navigate our journey with grace. How you adapt not only impacts your life, but it also improves the experience for the loved ones we care for. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you know a caretaker, share this show with them using the links in the show notes below. My resources for these resolves is from my book, Are You Ready to Find Joy When Life Gets Messy? We will be launching on February 7th an 8-week series based on the tips and tools from my book. If you want to know more about my caretaking journey and how it started, the link to purchase my book is in the show notes below. And I am creating a hard copy of the 31-day Caretakers Resolve Challenge. And if you would like a copy of it when it's available, you can join my email list below, and I will let you know how and when to get it. As I close out today's episode, I want to pray for you. God, as caretakers, I have discovered the hardest thing for me is when I can't plan and things are constantly moving and changing. It's so frustrating. It's so stressful, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing a good job. God, I pray for the caretaker right now who's out there listening, who's feeling like that. Maybe they're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe they're feeling like they don't know how to deal with the change that's come in their own journey. God, I just pray that you will make yourself real to them, that they will understand that you care about the journey that you're on, that they're on, and you care and you see them and they're not alone. I know, God, this past week was a week where I felt so alone. And yet, God, every morning when I sat down with my coffee, in my quiet time, in my solitude time, you made yourself very aware. I was very aware that you were right there with me. I pray that the caretakers will tap into you and the relationship that you want to have with them. Thank you, God, for always walking before us, always walking behind us, and especially walking beside us. In your precious name, amen. Let me bless you. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look with favor on you and give you peace. I will be back tomorrow for day 28. And until then, it's all about him.